Booyaka!
What's up, everybody? It's Friday.
What? No way.
Pow,
What's
pow!
going on?
Oh, we're firing off fireworks now? All right.
Sure, it's Friday. For everybody else, it's the start of the weekend. All right, so you know what it is. It's SafeWord, your platform for teaching, learning, and opening the eyes of our audience to the world of kink, BDSM, and relationships.
Oh, there we go.
I'm
Ah.
your host, K. Marcos.
And I am your other host, Aurora Storm.
And I am your co-host, Callista Fury.
And I'm your co-host, Knight Wagner.
All right. So, I mean, if you watched this week's video, you know what it's about. If you didn't, I guess you'll find out.
And then it's also time for you guys to subscribe, like, for more content on kink, BDSM, and relationships.
Relationships. All right. So first and foremost, we need to say hello to our A1 since day one. He rocks with us on all of our shows, all of our channels, everything. Leaves comments, likes, all that. So, SafeWord crew, would we like to say hello to our fan favorite? Ready? 1, 2, 3. Hey!
Pick up.
So here's the deal. If you want your shout out, like Mr. Roy gets every Friday live, do is hit that bell, like, subscribe. You know what it is. I mean, just hit the subscribe button and like and comment. All right, but if you just landed here and you have no idea what you're watching, well, goodness gracious, I'm about to tell you. This is SafeWord. And here on SafeWord, we have a safe word of the day. We use this safe word to stop, halt, and completely put a pause on all topic of conversation. So, SafeWord crew, what we like to tell everybody what the safe word of the day is. If you don't know, it's right here on the board. Everybody say it with me. Ready? 1, 2, 3. More. More. So make sure that you're saying that word if the topic is getting too hot, too heavy, or you just want everybody to shut the up. But safe word crew, sometimes we have audio issues. So if we're saying the safe word of the day and nobody's shutting the up, what the heck do we do? Ready? 1, 2, 3. So throw up that symbol. Make sure you say the safe word of the day, which is morph, so that everybody knows what it is. Mr. Kane Marcos, do we have Kane Kink news?
Yes, we do. All right.
All right.
Just a little quick update on some things that we talked about before. Remember we talked about the NASA DART space mission that was supposed to send a satellite to collide with an asteroid. So it's been a little while. Pretty sure everybody's heard the news, but in case you haven't, we're here for you. The mission was a success.
What?
Yeah, a lot of people didn't understand what was really supposed to happen with it. They thought it was going to supposed to alternate the course of an asteroid. So from what I understand, there was another smaller asteroid orbiting another larger one, and the satellite made impact and was supposed to alter its trajectory to what they call in minutes. So it was supposed to at least provide 10 minutes of course alteration for it to be considered a success, and it just so happened to change by 31 minutes. So 3 times the success all the way over.
So they're playing space dominoes now? Is that what's happening?
Pretty much. Space Jenga.
So it wasn't ever a threat to Earth, but nice to know that in case something ever did, kind of threaten.
You have an extra 30 minutes of time before we all die in a horrible fiery death.
They know something's coming. That's why they're doing all this in the first place.
Oh yeah.
Yep. They're like, oh, we're just testing something out. No. I'm sorry, we don't waste money on tests unless there's a reason to waste money on tests.
Unless there's a real threat.
If you haven't seen Don't Look Up, I highly recommend it because it's a little coincidental that it's like, hey, we released a movie last year, Don't Look Up, and then this year,
I know.
Slowly getting you
pairing soft or technology and just see if it works.
Yeah.
No reason at all.
Trying to ease us into it.
That whole COVID thing was also a test, Beware of like some space cooties. It's a thing.
All right, so last week we brought up some information that a lot of people didn't seem to care too much for. Politics is just everywhere. It's in everybody's faces, and especially with like elections and local elections going on, everyone's just getting tired of the campaigns, probably tired of the signs all over the road. So I did get a little bit of hate mail last week saying, like, hey, leave the 5 o'clock news, somewhere else. And I was going to try and just abstain from bringing any of that up. But then this happened, and I had to.
You said F that.
I had to incorporate it because it kind of lines up with what we do here. So there's a man running for, I believe it was Congress out of New York, and part of his campaign stance was that he wants to legalize sex work. And so in order to promote his campaign, he decided to release a sex tape on the Hub. So
he
that's
made
available for your viewing pleasure.
He made
Wow.
a video. He walked the walk and talked the talk.
Yo, here's the thing. I got to give him mad props though, because like, what's the problem? Okay, so he's a Kinkster. He's a politician. I love it. Let's put it out there.
No, that's the problem. That's the problem. What he should have done was hired a body double.
He's like, this is gonna get out. I can't stop it from getting out. So this is what we're gonna do to kind of.
Purpose. Like it was.
No. This was a produced.
Yeah.
This was produced.
But that's the problem is he's not a professional. That's the problem.
And that's why I'm sitting here saying that like that's okay. Like thank goodness. You know what? Who's to step us out of the dark age around kink and sex and all the rest of it than a politician? Okay, let's put a politician on the Hub and let's.
Yeah, but I mean, you don't see a politician out in the in the ocean saving the whales. I mean, they may throw money towards it. Just saying. You don't really gotta dive in.
Well, so maybe it might, get them a couple extra votes.
Somebody saving a whale. Of the two, I can tell you which one I'd rather do.
Right, like I'm not gonna watch somebody save a whale, but like you tell me my governor's banging on the Hub, I'm gonna be like, wait, what's his name? My city governor's banging on the Hub.
Yo, hypocrites. When all the other governors had their sex tapes released, all of a sudden it was like, oh, we see Anthony's wiener. It's a big deal, right?
Well, and it's funny.
That one guy does it on purpose, and it's okay.
It's okay.
Politicians into some crazy shit, anyways. At least this one was forthcoming with it. I mean,
look,
they all do it.
And he was
guilty of it.
Go ahead. And he was smart about it. He was completely smart about it because it's like Eminem, right? Like in his rap battle, like in 8 Mile. Okay, he stood up on that stage and made fun of himself before anybody else could. Okay, that's literally because like, what else you got to say if I'm telling on myself? Yeah, I did that. Yep, stuck it in the dookie shoots. That was me. Yep,
damn,
vote for me.
You already won.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like literally, like that's what it is. It's. And I'm sorry, I gotta give him props for it. I'm a Kinkster. Gotta give him props.
Well, I mean, it's on the platform of legalizing sex workers, like so that way they don't get in trouble for it. Does that mean that it's illegal? So him doing it kind of incriminates himself as.
Ooh, I didn't think of it like that. Yeah, I don't know.
But he signed the contract, dotted line, consent, as you said. So it's all above board.
Okay, but really honestly, how does that make everybody feel that like a governor has put something like, I mean, y'all already hear how I feel about it. I'm like,
well, they're all doing it. The only thing is he's broadcasting it. That's the only difference. In my opinion, that's the only difference is he's broadcasting it and he's letting everyone know, hey, I do this. So does, Joe back there, but we're not going to talk about that. So.
Yeah, I was bopping because I'm like, birds do it, bees do it.
Everyone does it.
Is that all? Is that all who does it? I think personally, it's a good thing. He may tank his career. People may not take him seriously, but baseline, he has started a conversation, and
absolutely,
and he's brought that to the forefront in a positive light. Even though people may joke on him and joke about it,
right.
People talk about it, so it's a good start.
Well,
yep.
I mean, like we said, everybody's already doing it, so at least he's forthcoming with it, and I definitely think you're right, Knight, where he might have tanked his career, but the next guy who comes up and does it, it's gonna be a little bit easier.
It's gonna be amazing.
So is he the first honest politician?
Ooh. That's a mouthful. That's a mouthful. Honest and politics.
Slow down. Slow down there.
Shots fired. All right. I like it. We're frisky tonight. All right. So next thing up on the docket is I don't know. Have you guys watched a popular show on Amazon Prime? It's called Upload.
I started.
Yes.
I started that.
Yes. Oh my gosh, it's so good. That's a binge watching show right there.
If you
Oh,
haven't-
it's a binge watching show.
If you haven't checked it out, I highly recommend it. It's actually very entertaining, but there's a little bit of touch of realism to it. There's a facility in Arizona where there is over 199 legally dead individuals cryogenically frozen, awaiting advancements in technology to cure some diseases and things that we have going on right now that we can't necessarily treat. A lot of these people volunteered to be frozen so that way they could be reanimated
Volunteered.
at another time to be have their
Reanimated?
yeah, pretty much just have their diseases worked on with whatever technological advancements we can make from here to there. It's actually really interesting. I read a whole article about it. It's not like cryogenically freezing like you're familiar with. The way that they do it is, the person is pronounced legally dead, put on ice, and then the way that they describe the process isn't freezing, more vitrifying. And so it's basically how fast that process takes. And so the logic behind it is basically if you can freeze the blood exactly where it is, freeze everything in the body exactly where it stands, it won't sustain damage or deteriorate over time so long as it stays cool. So they've got the freezing process down. I want to know how many clinical trials are being done on the thawing process. So that's
Right.
That's the next thing.
Yeah, that sounds like something out of a sci-fi movie.
You saw what happened when Han Solo got thawed out a bit too early.
Right.
So
Oh,
what do you guys
gosh.
think about that? It's it's going to have implications across more than just curing diseases. There's going to be ways, methods of cheating death. Like it's going to get back into the theory that that upload kind of touches on, where it's like, can you upload the human brain into a computer for immortality?
And do you want to is another thing.
Yeah, that's the real question. Because even if you watch Reboot, when they die, they can go to this. It's basically like a retirement home, but it's not a retirement home. It's like AI, virtual reality, and you get uploaded. Your consciousness gets uploaded there, and you can literally just make anything happen, and you live out the rest of your. I'm sorry, I don't want to live forever. I just don't.
No.
Life is exhausting, and here's the deal: how much does it cost to freeze me? Okay. And why in the world would I freeze myself, wake up 1,000 years later, and
Are you
know
kidding?
no one?
Have you not seen any of the films that have done
all
that?
over.
Are you?
All over.
No way!
That doesn't sound like a good time
you
to
can,
me. Not at
fly
all.
From Futurama, and just have 27 cents in a bank account that accumulates interest over 100,000 years.
Right?
And come
There
out
you
a
go.
billionaire
You have a
and-
second go round.
Demolition Man, right? That's a great example. No, I heard, as you said, I heard that most of the people who were involved in that were either super rich or they were they were getting investment from the super rich, and then the people there were kind of guinea pigs because they didn't themselves want to go in. But it was the terminally ill super rich or the super rich that were
Yeah.
investing in it because they were wanting to always live past their expiration date.
So
Crazy.
I don't know where our viewers are from necessarily geographically, but here's where it kind of hit a hiccup for me. Is it's a facility that is very, very, very heavily invested in keeping things cold, and they built it in Arizona.
Sorry.
I heard electricity was cheap there.
Didn't they already have that
No.
problem with dolphins here? I'm just saying.
Yeah.
No, if they're powered by solar energy, it seems like a
No.
decent place because they're
No. Let me explain something. Okay. The aquarium in Arizona has a dolphin facility, right? That you can swim with the dolphins and you can go watch the dolphins. Now, here's the problem. They stuck an aquarium in the middle of the fucking desert. Dolphins started dying.
What?
They couldn't regulate the temperature of the water. That's how hot it gets here.
Yeah, it wasn't an all indoor aquarium. They thought, they needed some sunlight. Just didn't
Right.
underestimate our sunlight.
Wait. They had the dolphin pool out where people can just be like, just.
Yep, because I mean, it's really hard to keep them enclosed and covered and all of that, and that's a whole hell of a lot more money. That's just a whole hell of a lot more money to freaking have an enclosed thing for them. So, but I mean, technically it should have worked because they kind of, have them in San Diego, but San Diego has temperate climates. You know what I'm saying?
No, people choose to live in San Diego.
It can hit a nice and balmy 117 here every now and again. So I mean,
no,
that's the last place I would be, cryogenically frozen.
You can bake cookies inside your car in the middle of summer, and frying eggs on the sidewalk is a real thing.
No.
Oh yeah. I tell you what, I am glad I'm up in the mountains nowadays.
Yeah. Nope. The desert is not nice. Everything bites. Everything bites and it's too hot.
Right, so the last story I have for us tonight, and man, I don't know if you guys have heard. It made the news. There was a gentleman who got convicted. He was a home inspector out of Michigan. Let me know when any of this starts sounding familiar. There's a home inspector out in Michigan that got caught on camera during a home inspection, pleasuring himself with a Tickle Me Elmo doll that belonged to the customer's kid.
What?
What?
So,
You get caught. Why? What?
Hold on, Kane, how does that work? How is that even technically possible?
all right, so
It was a laugh, huh? He liked the laugh, the giggle.
Oh!
He was like, choke on this, Tickle Me Elmo.
So the details, the unfortunate details of this news story. Guy went in for a home inspection, had the family vacate the premises so that way he could conduct his inspection. During which he went into a child's room, found the stuffed animal, and took it to the closet. And you can see him. Oh, there's a video, by the way. Video was on the news, so you can actually see what was captured. Don't really see any physical penetration, but if you're using just even 1% of your imagination, you can kind of guess.
I'm using 2-3%, and I'm not getting it.
So
What?
he took this Tickle Me Elmo doll. He walked over to the closet. You can see him doing something, and then the parents, the homeowners, saw it on the camera because they have a camera
Like security.
in the child's nursery that this happened in, and so they called the cops. Cops showed up at the scene. He was still conducting an inspection, and they said, "Hey, this is what the homeowners claiming," and he says, "No, I didn't do that. I was moving the doll to check an electrical outlet." And then he said, the cops told him, "Hey, they have you on camera." And so he's like, "Yeah, I did it."
Can you imagine?
So
you walk into the room.
I'm sticking with this line, so you guys have proof.
Therefore, it was a part of it, and he needed to fully inspect it.
Yeah, it has electricity in it.
yeah,
That's what
It
I
could have
would
been
say.
could have shorted out the kid. So it's sitting there with his big old bug eyes just staring. And you walk into the room and you're like, oh, what you looking at, Elmo?
I'm sorry. Am I to understand that you think Tickle Me Elmo was asking for it?
You know what I'm saying? If he didn't want it, he wouldn't have been looking. He wouldn't have been looking like that with that big smile on his face.
And here's the deal: you don't need consent from a Tickle Me Elmo. I mean, like, how you gonna get? I mean, I guess you could ask the Tickle Me Elmo if it gives consent, then press its tummy, and then it goes.
Shut the fuck up.
Doesn't it say I like you or I love you or something like that? Or doesn't it say
Tickle me? Yes. Okay.
It says that. Tickle my throat. Oh my god.
Night, after this we need to talk, bro.
Now here's the question. I either he was not very well endowed, or did he cut a hole in the back of Elmo's throat? Like, what?
That's
How?
where you're concerned. That's the detail.
Yes, because like, how did you use that thing? Like, literally, like, how?
Who cares?
You know what?
Just burn
And
this
have
motherfucker
pleasure
for
out
doing
of
that
it.
to some child's doll and putting it back. Had there not been a
Wait.
camera, they would have never known.
Morph.
I'm just trying to figure out what the heck this dude was thinking, like, to even want to. You know what I'm saying? To even.
I know what he was thinking. He was like, "Yo, I don't have this back at my house. Oh, that only has 2 settings. This has at least 3. If I punch a
This
hole
one
in this,
vibrates when you tickle it.
you know what I'm saying? Think about it. He was like,
He
"Oh,
probably
they should
turned
market
it
this."
on. It started
Yeah.
vibrating and singing to him. He got excited and then
Oh
just
my
put it right up to him.
Yep,
There you go.
exactly.
All right. Well, I was gonna bring the video, but we had a little bit of technical difficulties prior to starting. But I will say that there is a video. I will be sharing it with my crew so that way they can see it. If you're interested in viewing it yourself, we'll try to drop the link in the description.
Don't.
I don't know if that's gonna
No,
work.
we can't drop that link.
That's gonna work,
But
I mean, you can Google it. It's up there. It's there.
Yeah, just make sure you're at least on incognito, at the very least.
Yo, so that was what tripped me out. Is I heard about it, you know, kind of word of mouth style. I looked it up, and I was just expecting to have like a news article, and no, there was an actual news broadcast where, I mean, like, they showed the video that the parents captured, and it's like they were no holds barred. Showed him walking over to the closet, and the thing that kind of, like, there's so much wrong with this, but there's so many little red flags and things. You're like, what the? Is you think he looks back and looks at the camera at least 3 times. Like, he looks over his shoulder in the general direction that the camera is.
Nah, but he didn't see the he couldn't have seen the camera.
no, because otherwise he wouldn't have lied. Like,
Yeah.
well, no, I'm not saying he wouldn't have lied, but like, if he fessed up so quickly when they were like, "Oh yeah, they caught you on camera."
And full confession too, not just like a
Yeah.
I did it. He, like, one of the officers on scene says that he confessed to putting his member in the doll's mouth.
Oh, so there is a hole?
That's
Yeah,
it.
he already made one.
Now, okay, see, now I was not so off with questioning that. Like, where, like, either you're not
I
well
know there was a
endowed, or
I give up.
what the hell did you do?
I give up. Yo.
You have Roy over here googling now. Tickle me, Elmo. What is that? No. Don't do it. Don't do it.
No, there's
Sales have now gone through the roof.
right. Tickle me Elmo dolls everywhere. It's just freaking the new hot commodity from like '98 for Christmas this year.
Yeah, put it on your Christmas list.
Yo, do you guys
Right?
remember when that first dropped and like people
Oh,
were
yeah.
all around town, like,
Oh my
you know,
gosh.
That's why they wanted
they
it so
wanted
much.
to grab one of these things, and
That's why I said like it's a remix from.
do you think that's gonna happen again this year?
Oh, absolutely. The kids be, I want one. Yeah, but you're 16.
It's like, hey, Dad, can I?
There's
get
gonna be a
can I get
hashtag.
can I get
There's
a
just gonna be
waifu pillow?
hashtag Tickle Me Elmo.
Hey, Dad, can I get a waifu pillow? No, hell no. Can I get a Tickle Me Elmo? What the?
Yeah.
What are you over, Dad?
Kids these days. And I had to make do with the Victoria's Secret catalog. You know?
Oh my goodness.
All right, so that's all I had for Hot Topics tonight.
Woohoo!
I wasn't expecting there to be so much support for
Elmo.
yeah, that was.
Hey, it's not necessarily that we were supporting, we were questioning.
Why?
It wasn't support.
Like, you're-
Let's just make this very because we're Kinksters and we're curious, okay?
Ooh, I wonder what Cookie Monster's gonna be like.
Oh my goodness. See, Knight's already making a whole new line of toys.
Well, it's like you were... Damn.
Yo, that's the female version. All the girls gotta go
There
out
you
and get
go.
Cookie Monsters and eat cookies. Nom, 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 nom. Nom, 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 nom.
That-
Oh, wow.
Love it.
All right.
So guys, get your Tickle Me Elmos, and girls, go get your Cookie Monster.
That's it for Kink News, everybody. Hope you guys enjoyed.
Woo! All right, thank you, Kane. Good job. Woohoo! All right, so that was great. So I have a little bit of a PSA for our new viewers and also some of our older ones. But I've been getting a lot of questions about like what our page is about, like what's the deal. So every Friday we come to you live, right? But once a week we drop what we call a trailer, and it's kind of like a teaser to the topic that we'll be speaking on. Now, I either take these videos from two different angles, either very comical and kind of Saturday Night Live-ish, sometimes, well, three. Sometimes they're very direct, but there's always an element of, for you, the viewer, to figure out and decipher what we will be talking about on Friday. So it's a really good idea to watch those every week before the live. Gives you a little bit of a heads up, and make sure that you're hitting that like, subscribe, and the bell so that you don't miss out on those things, because I don't come every week like on a Tuesday. I just drop a video that's going to let you know what we're talking about, because this is the show here. You should be here. All right. All right. So tonight, if you watched our video, then you have an idea what it's about. If not, I'm going to tell you right now. Okay. So the title of this video is, So My Partner Has Changed. Now what? So I am going to be picking my host's brains, all right? And we're going to get some real life opinions from the SafeWord crew. And here's the deal. Where else can you get opinions from two men and two women? Only right here, okay? I don't care if you can get it somewhere else. Only right here. All right.
Smart men and two smart women.
Right,
How about that?
Right, but like, and we're gonna go round and round. And the thing I like about it is that the men will also chime in. It's not just like, oh, I'm man and her. They are very open-minded. They can, you know, you can circle and go back. If you don't know what I'm talking about, watch any of our lives and watch tonight. Okay, just circle jerk. Okay.
not on the camera. No.
No. Just with conversation. But you know, same difference. We do that after the meeting. All right. So tonight I'm gonna be hitting my crew with some questions that I have actually gotten from followers and viewers and messages and things like that. So I threw them in here, and then I also have some questions that they're just fun and I want to know, and I'm nosy. So I'm gonna kick this off with something super easy. Okay. And since we're talking about change tonight and change within a relationship, I am going to kick this off to Mr. Kane first. All right. So what does it look like when change happens in a relationship, or when someone's changed on you? Like, what do you think are some signs or some red flags or something like somebody's changing? What's happening? What do you think change looks like within a relationship?
Things look different.
No, like what are some things that might be different with your partner? Okay, if you're in a relationship and something's off, like what would be the thing that would show you that was off?
It's any number of things. I mean, that could be situational. I mean, it depends on what your guys' relationship is. But, you know, anytime something that used to happen isn't happening anymore, or something that didn't used to happen is happening more often, not necessarily even having to deal with like sex, but just if communication drops off, if you know, your partner all of a sudden turns into that when they used to be really open, now they're really secretive, or you know, they have an emotional change where, you know, they used to be really happy and go getting, and now all of a sudden they seem depressed, or you know, have their mind somewhere else. I mean, there's a lot of different things that could contribute to, you know, change in a relationship.
Or if their casserole tastes like butt now.
Right, there you go. Like add to it. Let's hear from the crew. Open it up. Like, what are some things that you think that you've either seen or that you've noticed with other people's relationship, within your own, that's like, okay, that's off. And maybe it's subtle, but it's definitely a change.
So one thing that I've noticed was more of the nonverbal communication.
Right.
Kind of if someone tries to snuggle up next to, you know, their partner, and the other partner just kind of shies away, pushes them away, and then that turns into, for me, from what I've seen before, then it turns into the actual conversation, maybe change in conversation, and maybe conversation is different. It's more light, as opposed to when it used to be kind of more engaged and more thoughtful, and it's just kind of, you kind of catch each other in passing. So I mean, for me, that's kind of what I've experienced or seen or come across.
Exactly.
I'll break it down into 3 sections. You have physical change, let's say internal personality change, or a perception change, right? And a perception change, let's say, could come from you, because one thing that you may have liked about your partner, and then now you don't, you can't stand how they breathe all of a sudden. It's not that they changed their breathing, your perception of that changed. But somebody decides, oh, I'm going to get a new set of knockers, right? Or I don't like what I had and I'm going to reduce it. And all of a sudden, wait a minute, that's not what I signed up for.
I love that you went right for the breasticles. It's fine.
Well, that's his favorite part.
Right? He's like, look here, if you cut him off and you don't let me know, it's a deal breaker, okay?
Whoa, hold on. Whoa. Yeah.
All right,
those are changes that we could come across.
Those are definite changes that we can come across. Definitely. All right, so I know that Kate's got some questions as well. So I'm gonna kick it to him because he's got the next question for me here. He's like, wait, huh?
Why do you guys think change happens? Like, if we're talking about change, and you guys brought up some really great examples. A lot of times people just tend to focus on a change occurred, and as everybody knows, people don't like change. And the first thing that comes to mind is you combat change because you want things to return to what you perceive normal to be. But we very rarely ever take the time to, sit back and address why a change happens. So, asking you guys now, the hard questions, why do you guys think people change? I'll start with, let's go with Callista.
So maybe you have a couple, and it should always be a goal as a couple to grow and share together and to move, in an upward angle. Now, you can at some point be going up, but then at one point or another, you have one that keeps going up and keeps wanting more. And then the next person becomes complacent and just, all right, I'm good. I have everything I need. There's nothing more I need, and that other person wants to keep moving, keep growing. So you have to either come together and be able to talk through that to where you're both like this, or you're both okay. So it
looks like you're describing a sex position. You're like, you got to do this.
Waiting, there's nights sitting there just burning. Just
I was waiting for, like, love is like a circle.
The love is like a circle. So yeah, I mean, I can piggyback off of that. Like, it's it can be somebody growing apart, it could be somebody growing upward, someone staying complacent. It could simply be a loss of interest. It could be interests went 2 different directions. Like, now I'm interested in this and I'm super obsessed with it, and this person is interested in this. When you guys have very common interests, very common goals, it's growing apart. But I mean, you could literally just not grow apart and lose interest in that person, and so then change ends up happening, even if you don't really realize that it's happening within you. You know what I'm saying? Like, that you're not really attracted to that person or not interested in that person anymore. So
yeah, needing to be able to identify that you yourself are growing is one of the most important things out of relationships that I've witnessed. I came up with let's say a philosophy that men should not get married before the age of 27 and women before the age of 25, because by that point, before that point, they're one way. And then after that, it completely changed. And I've seen, those high school sweethearts that last forever. It happens. But quite often, poor young
That
Poor
definitely
young
takes a lot
airman
of
that
work.
gets married early,
Yeah,
because they're like,
that
oh,
takes a lot of work.
you get housing, if you get married. Next
Yeah,
thing you know.
I'm gonna put a little something out there on me. Like, okay, so I got married at 19. Dumb, young, stupid. Okay, got married at 19. Those last forever. But I mean, you're so young, you don't really understand the concept of even a relationship. First of all, not to
Yeah.
mention that a relationship is work. It is work. It is full time job. It is just like waking up and going to work from 9 to 5. You have to put in work or the shit falls apart. You ever played The Sims? If you leave them locked in a room, they shit crap themselves and die. So I mean, same thing with relationships.
Well, and I know, like all you guys brought up some really good points, and I think that people are always constantly changing. I think it might slow down. Change might not be as rapid, as in your younger years, but definitely as you're older, it's slower, but change is still happening. Your ambitions are the wind. It's anything can pique your interest, and anything can shy you away from something. It just happens. And I think that a lot of couples, I'm pretty sure you guys have heard about the honeymoon phase, right?
Oh,
A
yeah.
lot of people don't understand what the honeymoon phase in a new relationship is. And it's that raw, unfiltered passion that you have for the other
Passion.
person. You focus on them so much because you envision a life together, or you have ambitions for what a future could be like, and so you do everything you can in those moments, in that initial couple of months, to make that happen. And then once it does, and you think you have everything you want, then all of a sudden you forget that that person also had their own dreams, their own ambitions, their own
Yeah.
needs out of life, and them pursuing their needs, or whatever their course of thinking is at the time, might change over those couple months. And when you're around each other for a certain amount of time, I mean, it gets to a point where, hey, like, what can we do? What kind of there's nothing more to talk about anymore, because we're just in each other's faces so much that we've heard all of each other's stories. We've talked about everything that I know what you're gonna say. I know what you think. You know what I think. It's also really funny in the beginning where it's like you finish each other's sentences, and I feel like that sets somebody up to, oh, well, this person can read my mind. Then later on, that person can't finish your sentence, or is
Right.
thinking about something else, doesn't finish your sentence for you that one time, and you think, hey, well, why can't you tell what I'm thinking? Because I'm not a mind reader. Like, if you could just communicate that instead of assuming that I know, then we could be a little bit better off. And a lot of times that doesn't happen, and then resentments build.
Yeah.
Morph,
Very
morph,
true.
morph. Let me ask a question based on that, real quick. Have any of you been in a relationship where you've actually come to know somebody so well, that actually becomes boring? You don't have that, like you said, you don't have this, oh, we because you could finish each other's sentences, because you don't have to communicate so much, because you understand each other so well. Then does it become boring?
I,
It can be.
I
Go
think boring's
go
a
ahead.
harsh word.
I think it can be boring. I've never, fortunately, have found myself in that position. I think it's also important that when becoming a couple, each partner should be able to stand happy by themselves and be a happy individual, and then come together and create a deeper love and happiness together. But I think both of them need to be able to first stand alone and be able to be happy on their own, and then
Yeah.
come together and share that happiness. Sorry, I'm like very today, but
You and your positions, man. You're like, what else you got for me?
All right, so we've talked about like what could bring about a change. So getting a little bit more personal now. Have you guys ever? I know Callista, because Callista doesn't masturbate and doesn't change. Never found herself in a situation where change is an issue. So you need to write a book. I will read it.
It
Um,
will never change.
but have you ever noticed that you have changed, like, in a major way, and not really noticed until your partner brought it up?
Ooh, I definitely have. I mean, and that's where I kind of got the whole thing, like where subconsciously you don't realize that you're no longer interested in your partner for whatever reason, and like things have just changed, and you don't want to be touched, or you don't like the whole thing that Calista was talking about, that someone curls up and you're just like, and you can't really figure out why. And it, like, this was an old relationship with me, but it wasn't even, brought to my attention, or so some might even noticed I was just doing it, blinders on, just right. But I didn't notice that was something that I was doing until it was brought to my attention. And then it was really like sitting back and going, oh, wait. Yeah, we used to be closer. We used to hold hands. We used to. What happened? You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, for me, I definitely have had that thing where something has changed. Something has changed, and I'm unaware.
That's a good one. I mean, the thing is, I was aware.
You're like, I was doing it on purpose.
You were a little giggle.
I was aware. And it was I knew I was going through tough times, and had become more distant and emotionally unavailable. I knew that. So, but maybe I wasn't aware how it was affecting my partner. Let's say that.
There you go. Okay. All right. What about you, Calista? Since you're perfect and you don't have change.
Contrary to what Kane has said, I'll catch you later for that. There has been a point, obviously, that where I've changed. I've grown and I've changed, and it has been brought to my attention by a partner that, hey, you're doing weird things now. This isn't what we used to do, and so it has been brought to my attention, but I didn't necessarily know I was doing it. I just kind of
was doing it
and did it, and outgrew my partner, kind of deal.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, outgrew him.
Most definitely.
So, how old was he? If you grew that fast, was this 12 years old?
I have a lot of personal experience with change, and on both parts. I know for myself, I've gone through a couple drastic changes. One of them I didn't understand was too big of a deal because I thought I was in control for a majority of it. But come to find out, just hearing about it from a partner that didn't have it as much under control as I thought I did. Didn't have an alcohol problem or anything, but, I just grew up in a family where whenever we had a gathering or something, everybody just always, had a few. And as I got older, I realized that I thought that my tolerance was getting better. It turned out, my tolerance was actually getting worse. And so never really escalated into anything more than just like, hey, you kind of are getting a little too comfortable and, disclosing a lot more than you should when you hang out with your friends or your family. And I didn't notice it because I thought, we were all just having a good time laughing about something. I didn't realize that some of the things I was sharing were, some meant to be kept a little bit more personally, and I was using them as the butt ends of jokes. And so that was something that affected my partner, that they let me know, and was a really difficult pill to swallow, because I know, at least for me, hearing that I'm doing something wrong is like, no, I'm not doing something wrong. The way you're looking at it is,
is wrong. Your perception is off.
In the book to say that it's not my fault. And I feel like a lot of people do that until it just gets shoved in their face like, no, asshole, you're doing this wrong. And you kind of have to take that pill and say, oh, I'm wrong. So I've definitely been in situations where things have changed. I know that as I grew older, a lot had changed. I got accused of being a lot more fun just last year, and now you're a little bit more serious. And I think that was attributed to the fact, like, holy crap, I want to get my life a little bit more together. You kind of start setting ambitions, you kind of start setting goals, and when a lot of people don't realize, when you set goals, some of that free time that you used to have, that you're devoting towards those goals, other people really look forward to. That downtime that you used to have, that attention that you used to give, the freedom from your anxiety and your stress that's wrapped around pursuing your goals that wasn't there prior to is now affecting those closest to you, and 9 out of 10 times that's your partner. So even trying to work on yourself and be better for yourself can be detrimental if you're not communicating.
I mean, my golf buddies at the country club missed me when I got busy.
Right? Exactly. Just like that. I mean, it's not necessarily a bad thing. You just, hey, I'm working on myself a little bit more. I'm trying to do what I can to advance myself, and taking that away from other people is sometimes hard for them to deal with.
Right. Right. Most definitely.
All right.
So, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I think it's you.
Oh, yeah, no, okay. I was just like, are you, if you have something else to add? Okay. So here's a question. If you lose interest in your partner, right? Do you, or have you, or have you not let them know? Like, if you sat there, lost interest in a partner, and okay, let's reword this. Would you let them know now, and have you in a past relationship sat and been like, you're not gonna tell nobody nothing?
Yes.
Not in those words that you use.
Yes.
Not in those exact terms.
Okay, all right.
And
So
walk
what
circles
terms
around
would
it
you use, Mr.
first.
Knight? What
You know
kind
what I
of
mean?
wrapped up present are you giving this person with a bow on top? Let me know.
So, all right. So, like, a lot of people end up cheating for this reason, right? They lost interest in somebody, and they're just like, I can't tell them, and it'll hurt their feelings. So let me just go. Burr. Kind of doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but you do you. In my case, I tried to steer them in a particular direction, right? So if I thought that I have reached the depth of their character, so to say, and I'm just like, there's not much more here, is there? So I try to introduce them to new hobbies, or get them into the things that they normally wouldn't have done, to try to awaken, let's say, their next level. But if they
Right.
were just, that's it, that's baseline, that's what we're gonna get, and I'm just like, can't have a conversation about this because they don't have an opinion, don't have an opinion about this, don't have an opinion about that. Um, at that point, it's just like, it's not you,
Yeah.
it's me, because I need more.
No. Okay. All right, Miss
But it is
Calista.
you. But it is you.
But it is you. All right, Miss
Roundabout
He
way.
had to.
You
He
you
had
did
to.
that when you left the States, huh?
Right.
You left it.
Right.
Hey, goodbye.
It's you. It really is
And
you.
I'm in Europe now.
I could totally see Knight going, I see it. It's me. Like, I just, I need a time to myself, go work on me. And then he's like, it's all good. We'll still be friends. Him walking out, he's got his bags packed. And then he shuts the door. And he opens it back up and he goes, but just so you know, it was you. It wasn't me. All right, cool.
So
As
yeah,
he
I've been in
runs
that
back to the
position
car and
too,
peels
where
it
I
out,
had
like-
to tell.
Right.
I've been in that position too, where I had to tell my partner, like, "Hey, this isn't working out. I see myself going right, you're going left, or you're just kind of not going anywhere."
Anywhere.
So I lost interest. Conversations weren't the same. Very much aligned with what Knight was saying. That didn't have opinions. There wasn't anything to to keep the conversation going. So I'm like, all right, got to cut my losses now. You've already wasted some of my time. So I'm like, all right, it's time to go. So
It took
I
me a
think it's
hard
okay to be-
time, Callista. Like, it took me a long time to even realize that sometimes people aren't that deep. I was thinking that maybe I was
Yeah.
doing something wrong, and it was just like, you know what?
Yeah, no, some people just don't get it. They just don't. But King, quick. So questions kicked to you here. Did you already answer? You answered it first, right? No, you haven't answered it yet.
No.
Yeah, you making faces. You confusing me.
He's always making faces when you.
I'm like, wait, did you answer? No, you didn't answer this yet. Go ahead and answer the question. Have you ever lost interest in the person you're with? And did you let your partner know?
Which time?
Like I said, you can relate this to past relationships. And then I want to know, like, right now, like, if you lost interest right now, would you let somebody know, knowing the tools that you have now?
Would you do it the same way, or would you be? Or are you smarter about it?
Have you never done it like that? Have you always communicated?
Yeah. I mean, I lost interest. I don't want to say I've been in a previous relationship. I lost interest because of what the other person was doing, and the reason why I lost interest is because it was obvious that my partner lost interest.
Right.
Like I said, I thought I was a janitor for a brothel at a certain point in my first marriage. So
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's what I didn't want to bring up because I know it's a touchy subject. You know,
You were
she
a
had
literal.
interest, just
Like,
interest in
wait,
a
what?
bunch of other,
Wait.
a
wait.
bunch
Oh,
of
yeah.
other people.
Morph, because Mr. Knight is over here with his face screwed sideways. Okay,
It
we
was
got
like, no, it was the 12-year-old in me. I was like, you were a literal jizz mopper? No way. Ignore
Yeah,
me.
uh,
Ignore me.
quite literally, I was for a time, and I didn't know it at the time. But you know, after I figured it out, yeah, I definitely changed my perspective and let my partner know, and
So you-
that they were
okay.
now demoted from partner to stranger.
Stranger things.
You know, I was married during my time in the service. I got married at a really young age. I got married when I was 20. No, actually, I got married when I was 19, right on the cusp of 20. And
Yeah.
the partner I had at the time just, I didn't realize had no ambitions, didn't have any drive, didn't have any goals. And so
Eh.
they ended up just, you know, living the high life while I was busting my ass in the service and, you know, basically being taken care of, but then found out that, hey, there's a lot of other guys around here and this one's never home. So there was people in and out of my door. I found out about one, which was the reason why I broke the relationship off. But then, taking some time to myself to try and, you know, really evaluate the situation, kept getting knocks on my door. Go and answer the door, and it's just, you know, random stranger after random stranger, and they're just had some guy be all like, "Oh, let me know when you're done, chief." Like, done with what? So
I'd have started charging at least. Let me get in on this business model. What is that, man?
so yeah,
Oh,
definitely in that situation, I saw a change. I didn't like it. I changed immediately, and I let my partner know, and we were no longer partners. I've definitely been, like I said, I've changed without realizing it, and you know, had it brought up, and it's like, whoa, okay, sorry about that. But if I lost interest in a partner now, I definitely think that I would. I like to say I'm too damn old to be doing this again and again and again.
right.
It's like at this point, if something doesn't work out, then I'm just gonna go have fun.
Yeah.
And that's the way I kind of like to live my life now. Is just, hey, commitment right now is just, you know, commitment sounds way too difficult, especially with, you know, the way everything's going on, where my mind's at. I'm having a lot of fun right now. I don't think I could be adequately tied down right now and, you know, be what a partner would need me to be. And so knowing that about myself, I wouldn't want to lead anybody on, string anybody along, and ultimately disappoint them. So if we can have fun for a night, it beats being miserable the rest of our lives.
Right.
So
Well, and I'll go ahead and answer this too. So, have I ever lost interest in a partner and just not told them? In my past, yeah, most definitely. I have, yes, yeah, lost interest,
damn.
known I've lost interest, and not said anything at all. But that's when I was younger. Now definitely I don't have
How long
time
did
for it.
that last?
Way too long. Like I said, I got married when I was 19 and I was young and dumb and thought I could fix him because he needed to be. Yeah, no, don't. You can't fix anybody. You can't
Up
lead.
with
You
us
can only lead a
females
horse
when
to
we're
water. You
that
can't make
young.
it drink.
Up
It's
with
just
us females when we're that young and we feel the need
Yep.
to fix these men to make them be
Mhm.
what we need them to be. We need to
Mhm.
stop doing that.
Right. I mean, look, if he's
hell yeah,
not,
y'all do.
if there's one too many red flags, there's one too many things that don't
Yeah,
congel with what you're doing, let it the hell go. And I'm gonna
get
piggyback
out.
off of what Kane said with that one. Like now I'm way too fucking old. Look here.
Mhm. Yeah, ain't got time
I'm
for
gonna
that.
tell you if you're bitching too much. Okay, I'm just gonna be like, look, I can't take the whining. I get it from my kids. Like, no,
Yeah.
no. You know. But this leads into my next question very well because I kind of already shared and divulged. But have you ever lost interest in someone but continued to stay with them? And I'm gonna kick it tonight first.
Or a period of time.
Yeah.
Let's just say there's nobody that's made it past the 2 year mark that I was not interested in. Yeah. So usually it's around a year that there's like milestones, right? 3 month, 6 month, 1 year, and that's by that time I kind of have an idea of where we're going. And if anybody makes it past the 6 month mark, that's already a good step.
Ah, okay. So like, wait, I got a question there. Are you hard to deal with? Because if you're like, they made it past the 6 month mark.
Well, it's not like I have a calendar and I look at I'm like, oh, that day's coming up.
All these check marks.
It's time for your employee evaluation. Let's see here. No, but generally, it's when people get comfortable. It's when, like there's a time when you're like feeling like, okay, I'm gonna spend more time at this person's house than my own place. So this is kind of an organic thing, and it's usually around this time that it happens. So it's usually around the 1 year time when it's like
it's done. It's just like either keep going or it's done.
There were times when I was just there and I was like, I'll be in it because there's really nothing better at the moment.
There's nothing better to do. You're somebody to spend time with. That works. Well, at least I get to watch my shows with you. Cool.
Yeah. So that has happened. That has happened.
All right. Miss Callista, who's perfect and doesn't masturbate and doesn't have change.
Oh my goodness.
And doesn't have conversations. I'm just going off of what Kane said.
Kane is full of shit. Full of shit. But unfortunately, yes, this did happen to me once. His family was cool. Like I'd go shopping with his mom and just hang out. His dad would always grill and just it was a cool time. But I lost interest in him maybe about 6 or 7 months in. But I hung around because his family was really nice.
I loved it. Like the family was really cool, and they had big ass family reunions. And my family was big like that. And I knew every year I got to go to a banquet hall and eat for free. Are you kidding me? And they're all like, "Oh
God, his mom loved me.
My family don't do that."
We would go shopping and just she was great. And I stuck around.
Couldn't you talk to his mom about it? Be like, listen, your son,
sucks. Your son sucks.
No.
But you are cool. Why didn't you raise your son to be more like you? Okay.
Right? Yeah, but I eventually had to just, let that go. I couldn't do it no more.
Nope. All right, Mr. Kane.
I can honestly say no. As soon as I was done, I was done, and it was like it wasn't didn't see a point in keeping up the facade. Didn't want to, like I said, I hate stringing people along, leading people on, and I also know how difficult it is for me to change myself. So I wouldn't expect my partner to try and change to meet my needs, especially if I'm not willing to change to meet theirs. If we're not communicating about it, or if honestly, if the conversation doesn't seem like it'll end up being fruitful, then let's go ahead and rip the Band-Aid off rather than trying to see if we can heal what's happening here. If it's worth it, I can definitely say I'd be committed to try to make it work. But if once you get to that certain threshold where you're just like I don't see a future and I'm unhappy, I'm good. I'm out.
You're out.
Deuces, peace.
So you've never in the past just stayed in a relationship just because, like, even though you don't have the interest, or it's not going anywhere, or someone's changed, you've never ever in your past just stayed.
So
for whatever reason,
I kind of learned a lot from like my first failed marriage, and I didn't want to engage in that again, and I don't know, it probably wasn't healthy for the time, but I kind of always kept like that chip on my shoulder and always was looking for red flags and making mountains out of molehills, things like that, and that got a little too difficult to deal with. And so like I said, it just got to a point where it was like, all right, I'm here to have fun, I'm here to enjoy myself. When I did finally get married the second time, and everybody knows how that marriage ended, I was actually just completely infatuated with that person. I lived for them, I breathed for them. There wasn't anything that anybody could say that was going to, talk me out of that. and we used to have really good communication. And that was the person who let me know, hey, you're being a little bit too free with the things that we talk about in private. And it was like, hey, whoa, I'm sorry I disappointed you. I definitely made strides to try and please that person. And then after that, it was too difficult to try to find somebody that met that criteria that I could communicate and vibe with on that level. So, I kind of just stuck to, enjoying myself, enjoying my freedom, living for myself. And because I always had the idea that if I can love myself, if I can be comfortable with just me, then somebody else can be comfortable with me too. Just as
You would
Right.
think. You would think.
You would think. That's the thing. Well, and I've just got a random question to throw in there because Kane brought up, like, it was brought to his attention, and we've been talking about that a lot tonight. So this is just a random question. If your partner comes to you and says, "Hey, look, you've changed," how do you receive that personally? How do each one of you receive that? Do you immediately go, "Fuck you, I haven't changed, you've changed. Look here, how have I changed?" Are you defensive, or are you like, "Wait, hold up, I've changed"? Like, how, why? And I guess that kind of depends on if you're invested. So let's say you're invested in this relationship, but it's been brought to your attention that you've changed. How do you receive that information? So, Calista, you're nodding. All right.
Depending on which stage of life, back then I would have been very defensive and turned off and just like, what the hell are you talking about? But if you're asking me now, and if it's a relationship I'm really invested in, I'm open-minded. I'm like, okay, I may be taken a little bit aback by it, but I'm willing to listen, shut my mouth and listen and really hear my partner out and what he has to say. So I'm open-minded when it comes to that.
So how do you take it, Knight?
I mean, contrary to popular belief or how I may present, I'm an advocacy for autism because I'm autistic. So I handle it in the way that an autistic person does, and I'd be like, in what way? Could you please clarify what you mean by change?
You want a full breakdown. Yeah.
And I would, it could be a good thing. I wouldn't know. So they would be like, well, I like this, and then this doesn't happen. Or this didn't happen, and now it does, and I appreciate that. So that, for me, the entire thing is always a learning process.
Right. It's just like information. I need information. You're like a computer. All right. So I saw Kane's head nodding. So I'm gonna let him answer, and then he gonna kick off some more stuff. But we got the shake the whole time. So why don't you explain your shake?
Oh no, absolutely. Like I said earlier, I'm one of those kinds of people that if something's brought to my attention, first I try to figure out how what I'm doing you could possibly be misconstruing to arrive at the conclusion that you're at, because it's not me. It's something changed with you. I didn't do anything. I'm being me. You all of a sudden don't like who I am. So what's going on with you? And then after a little bit more debate, conversation, then it's like, oh wait, yeah, that is me. Damn. But yeah, I would say that my knee-jerk reaction is to immediately get defensive. That's just a product of my upbringing. If you didn't defend yourself, if somebody had something to say, you had to be able to make an argument for your position so that way nobody pushed you over. My family, love them to death. They're really great people, but they're very very aggressive. I grew up in a very aggressive household. I'm not talking about daily ass whoopings or anything, but just, hey, your choices were constantly called into for clarification. Your the things that you do, where you hung out, what your plans were, all of that stuff. What are you gonna do after school? All that stuff.
So you're
I went to school with you, and I went to school with you, and they were definitely within their rights to be questioning your ass.
Yeah, yep. I mean, I'm not saying I was perfect.
They're wrong for it.
But you were wrong for it. Right there next to you.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Would have woke me up a couple of times, but nah, it didn't help.
Yeah.
I built resentment around that. All right, so just talking about change and everything else, do you think that you can get the type of relationship back? Like, can you communicate?
How do you fix it?
Change? Can you fix it?
How do you fix it?
Yeah. I personally don't believe that you can fix it unless there's two willing parties. Unless there's two willing parties and somebody's not aggressive, you know, and can hear stuff, somebody that, you know, wants all the information but can actually process it, like, and doesn't get angry off of it, you know, like can accept stuff. Like, okay, it takes two people to tango. And here's the deal: if somebody's misstepping, y'all ain't gonna fix shit. Like, you may want to fix everything all you want and be wanting to be a better person. And what can I do for you? And what can I do to change? And what can I do to fix this? But if that other person isn't willing to put in that same kind of work, like Kane said earlier, it's going to build resentments. It just is. Like, you can't stay in that kind of situation with one person working and the other person kind of half-ass lax. I'll give you a week. My ex was good for that. Give you, you know, he'd never say it, but yes, I'm gonna work on it, I'm gonna change, and it'd be really, really, really good for like a week, and then everything would just disappear and go back to the way it was after a week. And it's just like, wait, I thought we were working on stuff. I'm still working on stuff. I'm trying not to do the things you asked me not to do, and you're okay. We're back to square one, and now I can't even bring it up. So like, the deal is like, there has to be two willing parties. I think that's the first step. And then communication is obviously the second, and being able to communicate effectively what you feel without hurting the other person, which is a very difficult thing to do. So anybody else want to take
and you can't really have, you know, just like Aurora said, you can't have one person just giving and the other person just not working on themselves, because that's definitely where resentment will start to build, when that partner starts losing themselves and trying to make the other person happy and to please the other person. So
I'm going to piggyback on that real quick, because like, it's not just so much you working on yourself, because yes, you do need to work on yourself, but you also need to work on that relationship. So like, somebody may be exhausted because they're like, oh my God, I'm working on me and I'm fixing all these things with me. But are you fixing all the things with you and also giving to your partner what they need? You know, it's a two-way street. You've got to work on yourself as well as work on the relationship. Otherwise things. But Knight, what do you think?
It really boils down to being self-aware, right? Yeah. And that comes at a particular point in time, maybe trauma, maybe maturity, something will have to kick it into gear. Because to put it into context, I have a friend who told her husband that she wants to go back to school and get her master's, right? Okay. So that conversation ended with him throwing a suitcase at her. And they wanted to keep the marriage together, mainly because he didn't want to lose face by being divorced. In his culture and his thing, he didn't want to lose face, you know. He didn't want to, you know, let her go, and she wasn't ready to pack up and go. So they went to counseling, right? And he became combative with the therapist because he couldn't be wrong. So the therapist had to basically, you know, it's one of those situations like, okay, I want to hear you both. When she looks at the wife, she's like, oh, no, you're right.
The therapist is like, look here. No, yeah,
you know, you're right. Yeah, no. And they usually don't pick sides, but in this case, she had to shut him down. And he just wasn't willing. He wasn't willing to look at his actions. He wasn't willing to. They went to therapy. They went to couples therapy. She tried everything they could, and he just wasn't willing. And
why even go if you're not willing? You know what I'm saying? Why even go if you're not willing?
But on one hand, he's saying, "Hey, no, I want us to be together," and on the other hand, he's not doing anything.
Right. There's no action.
The other person has to. So if we're gonna say, "Hey, if you're in a relationship, what can you do to get yourself out of a bad situation?" You can try these steps. You can try to go to therapy. You can try to open communication, but the other person has to be willing to look at themselves.
Most definitely. Absolutely. So I mean, Kane, you got to answer your own question. I'm just saying.
I definitely think that there's a way to get it back. I think that, you know, if you can communicate, but it ultimately depends on how willing you are to make the relationship work. Just like Aurora and Callista and Knight were saying, you have to be committed to wanting to see it through, and then you have to understand it's going to be a difficult road, and you have to be willing to put that work in. And a big part of it that I'm still learning to this day is being able to hear criticism and not respond defensively, not, you know, get aggressive, not.
And that's hard. That's not an easy thing to do. The fact that Kane is even admitting that to people online, that's huge, because like, it is a very hard thing to do, to hear criticism and take it in. rather than go, what is it that you don't like about me? Why don't you like me? I like
and
me. What's wrong with you? And get defensive.
and it's a constant battle. I mean, you can make strides and hear it once, and handle it appropriately, and take it through the steps, breathe through it, and accept it once. And then the second time it comes up, it's a whole nother debate. It's a whole nother battle, and you have to wrangle it every single time. It's not something that they say the more you do, the more comfortable you get with it. No, it's a struggle each and every
It becomes a nag session.
Yeah, it does.
And I definitely think that anything can be saved if you communicate. A lot of stuff can be, brought up. It's the hard part is communicating. The hard part is starting the conversation, letting your partner know, what's going on, addressing the change, addressing what's causing the change and how it's making you feel. The other person has to be reciprocal and understand that, yes, my behavior made you feel that way, and they have to kind of sympathize with you. You have to sympathize with them, and that's how you guys kind of grow past that situation. But again, a lot of times it falls apart at communication. You don't want to have the hard conversation. You want to, if it doesn't change by tomorrow, I'm gonna talk about it. If it happens again, this weekend, I'm gonna talk about it.
And that's where the nagging comes in too. And that's never a good thing to do, is to nag your partner. I mean, it's
you
just
have
not
to be able. You have to be able to fight fair.
Yeah.
So,
communicate with I feel statements.
But along that line of conversation, when do you guys think when would you guys call it? When would you guys say it's time to walk away? Knight, we'll start with you.
In that,
This is really bad.
I think we all kind of did that,
Right.
It's like, oh boy.
Just let him.
Well, you got to take those factors into account. Investment, how much? Because it's kind of like a bad investment. After you throw a lot of money at it, you don't want to walk away. So how many years, how much actual money you actually put into the relationship does count. But really, when you've exhausted your options, when you've talked to them, when they've talked to other people, when you've talked to other people together, you brought it up, and they're just not at that point in their life when they're ready. Some people just are not ready to change. They're young, or just like I said, sometimes a bit of trauma is the only way. Like a serial cheater will stop cheating once it hits hard enough on them.
It hits hard, yeah. Yep.
So
once they experience it, or once they've lost something because of it, yeah. And you have to be strong enough to walk away too.
Absolutely. I mean, once communication's lost, once that forward momentum is lost, there's really not much left to hang on to, and you just got to know when to walk away and call it quits, and have the power and the strength to do so. And that's definitely a hard choice, and one that really only you as that maker can really decide. How much more fight in you do you have left?
Okay, and I'm going to take this from another angle, actually 2 different angles. So when should you walk away? If there's any kind of abuse, physical, verbal, anything like that, walk the heck away. Okay, before it gets
second that. Yeah.
And that's first and foremost. Okay, that's just like a PSA. But second of all, and I know a lot of people that do this, because I work with people. I have people that I've walked through their relationships with, done intimacy coaching, that kind of thing with. When you step into a relationship and you're really attached to that person, and that idea of that person that you met in the beginning, that the romanticized, beautiful, that honeymoon phase, and even past the honeymoon phase. Let's say you guys have been together 5 years, because I had a couple like this. They've been together 5 years. Things that blossomed, grew, and then settled in, right? But the woman always kept an image of who she thought her husband was in the back of her head, right? And he had changed. He had obviously changed. He had stress. He had things that were going on, lost houses. There was all these things that compounded in on his stress. So obviously he's going to change. He didn't realize he was changing, but he changed nonetheless. And she could not communicate effectively enough to say, hey, you've changed, even in counseling, like with what Knight was saying. He wasn't combative, but he didn't want to hear it. And so she was always like, I did one-on-ones with her, and she would always go, well, but he was this. Well, but he used to bring me flowers to my job. Like he would order flowers to my job. And I was like, and how long ago was that? And she was like just a year ago. And then it just all quit. And I'm like, okay. And she's like, but if I try harder, if I lose weight, if I blah, 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 if I do that, like I'll get it back. I'll get it back. Cause I've seen glimpses of it. I've seen him. He came out for like a weekend. It was great. And so I literally had to look at her and go, look, that may be all you get is one weekend out of 6 months. Now you got to look at yourself and go, am I okay with that? Can I live? Can I sustain? Can I suffice with my wants and needs not being met? So really, honestly, that's the question you need to ask. If you can no longer suffice and you are giving, even if, let's say you're giving as much as that other person is, but you're not getting back anything, nothing, it's time to walk away. It's time to walk away because you're never going to get that person back. It's just not going to happen.
And the
I said
honeymoon
earlier,
phase doesn't last forever.
well, and here's the
No.
thing, the person's true nature and true colors are eventually going to show. And so you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. So, I mean, like that's just what I want to leave y'all on, okay? Drinking from a couple different angles tonight. But Mr. Kane, did you have anything else to add on to that piece of it?
I was just going to say that if you have to question if you should walk away, I think you've already kind of come up with a decision in your head. I think you've already kind of evaluated it enough to understand that walking away would be healthier. And I think the stubbornness in you is what's keeping you there because you are holding on to a person or an idea of a person that might not ever come back. And so if you're going to devote all your time trying to get somebody to be who they were, you're not working on who you are. You're not working on your own goals because now you're just taking on a project. You're not doing anything for yourself because, like I said earlier, you don't understand the weight of goals. You don't understand the all of the time constraints that projects bring about. So if you're going to have to turn your partner into a project to try and see if you can get them to a place where you're used to them or where you liked them, then what other aspects of your life are you now neglecting working on this person as much as you are, and is it worth it? So if you have to evaluate it to that point, I think you've already started the first step in whether or not you should take the long walk,
Especially after you have kids.
Yeah. Because if children are involved, it's a whole nother beast. It's a whole nother beast.
And a lot of people, they have that, like, we're staying together for the kids, and that's not helping them at all. You're
At
just
all.
teaching them how to be just as
You're teaching them not how to love them
in their relationships.
Right.
You're showing them what they should put up with. So
that you're teaching them what love looks like. You're teaching them what it looks like to be loved. Everything that a child learns is from visual, hey, I'm taking this in. They're a blank slate. So here's the deal. You're teaching them, if you're in an abusive relationship, if you're in an unloving relationship, you're teaching them that this is what I should strive for. These are my goals.
I can honestly say,
and that should be a question. If you have children, that should be your first question. Would I want them to be in this relationship?
100% correct, because the reason why I got married so young, at least me personally, is I grew up with my grandparents. They got married when they were in high school. Been married for 50 years. I saw what a tried and true, loving relationship, loving marriage looked like that stood the test of time. They lasted the ages. And I always thought that, hey, that's going to happen to me. I'm going to find my high school sweetheart. We're going to be married for 50 years. And, I won't have to deal with what everybody else is dealing with out there because I'm going to get it right the first time. And you put so much pressure on yourself to get it right the first time that you end up putting up with a lot more than...
A lot more stuff, yep. Yeah, I can agree with that.
We warned you about her.
Yeah, I wish somebody had.
All right, so I've got a couple announcements to make, and then I'm going to let Kane take us out. So real quick, just so that everybody that's viewing right now understands, SafeWord's been on the air for 2.5 strong years, coming to you every single Friday, with a couple exceptions, but every single Friday live, okay? So here's the deal. We've got about 3 more live shows that we're giving you, okay? November 11th, we go on a break, but it's not like a total official break. We'll still be putting up stuff, and you'll see stuff on our YouTube and look the videos and stuff. But we won't be coming to you live till after the new year. I will keep giving you guys reminders, but I wanted to let you know tonight that by the 11th of November, there will be no new lives. Us being live till after the new year. All right.
Feliz Navidad.
Right. So stay tuned to our social media because right. Stay tuned to our social media. Make sure that you hit that bell because all through the break, I'm gonna be running stuff. Giveaways. Y'all want some free crap? Giveaways, okay? All through the holidays. So make sure that you're staying tuned to our social media, our YouTube, all of those things so that you can see the ads and see our pretty faces while we're on break. You know, because we're still going to be recording for you. All right, Mr. K, I think that's all we have tonight. So would you like to take us out?
Yes, ma'am. All right. So thank you guys so much for joining us this Friday. We could talk for hours and hours about partners change and all of that stuff. Gave you guys a little bit tonight. Definitely going to be touching on the subject a lot more in the future. And, we brought it up a couple times. I don't know if you guys have caught the recurring theme that happens, around sex, safe word, relationships, communication. So
Communication.
don't take anything else away. Just know that communication can solve a lot of problems. You just got to be willing to talk about it. But as far as we are concerned for tonight, that is it for us. So hopefully we gave you guys some tools to kind of navigate through some difficult times, give you guys a little bit of a heads up, or helped you make a really difficult decision. Either way, we enjoyed having you guys. We hope you guys enjoyed seeing us tonight. We love you guys. You guys are our Kinksters.
Don't you change, baby. Don't you change.
Don't you change. Don't change up. Don't change up on them now. Or do. And just surprise the hell out of them.
Love you guys. Enjoy your weekends. It's Friday. Go out. Have fun. You can still make last call. Enjoy yourselves. Always enjoy responsibly. And remember, if you're going to have fun this weekend, remember your safe word. All right. That's it for us. Good night, everybody.